It was Bill Belichick. He says that the New England Patriots are going to run it back with Cam Newton as QB1 and then kind of immediately walked it back. The latest on a brewing quarterback battle in Foxborough with Mike Debate of Locked On Patriots. There's no debate. There's no controversy. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar, no doubt about it, on the market. It's delicious, and you're not cutting any corners as far as nutrition health is concerned. Did you know the Built Bar has so many delicious flavors, and this summer, 2 limited time flavors that you got to get your hands on? Strawberry and orange go along with the 9 OG flavors that you know and love. Coconut, cherry barcia, raspberry, double chocolate, salted caramel, my personal favorite. They're all covered in chocolate, and they're all fantastic. And once you find out what Built Bar you love, you'll find out and you'll be kindly reminded that it's about 17 to 18 grams of muscle-packing protein. The calories only between 130 and 180, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. It's unbelievable. And if you're watching the Olympics, Built Bar is the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. They don't just slug down any protein bar. They really take into what they're putting into their body, and you should too. Go to Built.com. Use the promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your next order. That's using the promo code LOCK15 for 15% at Built.com. All right, Mike Debate's going to join us here on the Locked On NFL podcast. I'm your host, Bo Brack. We're having great conversations on the Monday edition of Locked On NFL, which is now on YouTube. Please go subscribe to our channel and, of course, like the video. We're talking to Julian Council of Locked On Panthers. He's given us the first impression of Sam Darnold down there in Charlotte, as well as we're talking to Evan Sidery of Locked On Colts. We're getting the latest on that injury and what the Colts are going to do going forward. But going on in Foxborough right now is a quarterback controversy. Not controversy, but I guess a battle brewing. We bring on Mike Debate, of course, of Locked On Patriots. And Mike, I got to ask you right out of the gates, thanks for joining us. How thin is the ice that Cam Newton is walking on as the Pats' starting quarterback?
To be totally honest with you, Bo, it's all that thin. Cam in camp has looked stronger. He's looked a little bit more in command. His footwork is better. His arm strength looks better. And he looks to be in better shape than he was last year. Not necessarily physical shape, but just the entire package when it comes to a quarterback. Running the offense, being comfortable, delivering the deep ball a little bit more, and also working very well in the red zone. Now, the Patriots primarily thus far in camp have been only working out of the red zone. They did test the waters on being able to test the deep ball a little bit on Friday. Cam looked good, is developing a nice budding connection with Nelson Aguilar. But right now, I would say that Cam has fully entrenched himself as the potential starter. That's not to say that Mac Jones hasn't looked good. He's pushing him and giving him all that he could handle. But right now, I would say that Cam looks to be a little bit more in command and is in lead when it comes to this quarterback position.
I don't think that Bill Belichick is somebody that's going to smokescreen something like the starting quarterback position. The comments from recently, and this is via Michael Girardi, one of the great Patriots reporters just like yourself, Mike. Bill Belichick says Cam Newton is our starting quarterback. And then soon after he said they'll evaluate the position from the consistency standpoint and from the production standpoint. I'm sure it will be a hard decision. What path to the starting role does rookie Mac Jones have?
Right now, I would say that Mac could end up winning the starting position if he comes out and proves himself to be a better decision maker, a stronger arm, and a better leader than Cam Newton. Right now, even though Mac has shown a great amount of stride in all 3 of those areas for a rookie, I don't think he's outperformed Cam Newton. So in that regard, when Bill Belichick says Cam Newton is our starter, a foregone conclusion that he's going to be. Mac does something that wows coaching staff to the point that's going to prevent Bill Belichick from doing anything but giving him the starting keys to the kingdom. I do believe at this point that it's Cam's job to lose, and I haven't seen enough from Mac to say that he's ready to take that and be able to run with it. But there are really times where he's looked great, especially in his quick release. He's delivering the ball on time and accurately. I think if he continues to do this, this kid's got a bright future in the NFL.
Make sure you're listening to him on a daily basis. Locked On Patriots host Mike Debate joins us here on the Locked On NFL podcast. Of course, follow him on Twitter at MDebateNFL. So you mentioned Nelson Aguilar, and there was a ton of big free agent moves that the Patriots made this offseason. Who's making the most noise so far in training camp in Foxborough?
Aguilar is one of them. He's definitely making those moves. He is really developing into that consistent receiver that can create separation. And the Patriots have not had that in quite some time. Those vertical routes that the Patriots have not been able to run in the past few years are something that I think they can do in Foxborough this year. And it's because of Nelson Aguilar. So he's looked great in the wide receiver position. In terms of the two tight ends, Jonnu Smith has had some wow moments. At one point on Saturday, he had the crowd chanting his name over and over again, really proving himself as a weapon in the jet sweep and also in the red zone, being that big target the Patriots can utilize. But Hunter Henry looked great as well. He's been running routes crisply. He's been really throwing some great blocks and also proving himself to be a physical receiver in the tight end position, going up, making contested catches. What these two guys are going to bring to the Patriots play action schemes this year is going to be fun to watch when you take a look at what this team can do, Bo. In terms of the defensive additions, Matt Judon has looked very comfortable on defense. He's getting after the quarterback. Christian Barmore, for a rookie, might end up being one of the biggest rookie acquisitions for the Patriots. He's taking reps with the 3-4s. He's getting into the mix with some of the starters as well. And even though he right now, technically, I'd slot him behind guys like Dietrich Wise and Henry Anderson, Christian Barmore is going to see a lot of time in that defense this year. He's going to pay dividends for the Pats.
Are there any rumblings, any updates on unhappy first-round wide receiver N'Keal Harry and, of course, cornerback Stephon Gilmore? Could either one of those guys find their way out of off the Patriots roster between now and the start of the season?
At this point, N'Keal right now is saying all the right things, which a lot of people are criticizing him for and some are praising him for. Look, bottom line, there's really no other way for him to play this. His agent has already requested the trade. If the Patriots do not acquiesce to his request, it's going to be tough for him to endear himself to the Patriots brass. So he's saying right now that if he is a Patriot at the end of training camp and into the season, he'll be happy to continue his career here in Foxborough. I still think the Patriots are going to do all they can to move him. I think right now it would be too much of a distraction for the Pats down the line to have someone who obviously wants to continue his career elsewhere. But Belichick and the Patriots have always proven that they'll do this for the football team. If they believe that keeping N'Keal Harry here as a third option receiver, as a situational receiver, they're going to do it. And it's in N'Keal's best interest to perform as strongly as he can. He's not going to dog it. He doesn't have that type of ability behind him to be able to compensate for that. I still say the same thing of Michel. A lot of rumblings about him possibly being moved. I think the Patriots are better off equipped to utilize him as the second option than whatever trade return they're going to get, whether it be draft picks or whether it be an NFL caliber receiver or a defensive back. I think having Sony is the best option this year. So I think at the end of the day, you're probably going to see both of them stick around. But if I'd say more of the two, I would definitely say that N'Keal Harry is probably the more apt to be moved at this point.
Mike Debate is a must listen each and every day. Never short on storylines following this Patriots team. Of course, follow him on Twitter at MDebateNFL. Mike, as always, fun to catch up with you. Can't wait to hear what you're talking about this week on Locked On Patriots.
Bo, always an honor, always a pleasure to join you here on Locked On NFL. Thanks for having me on today, and thanks for the plug of Locked On Patriots. I appreciate it, bud.
Of course.